Is finding your dream career feeling impossible right now? You're not alone. Welcome to Career Blueprint, the podcast that helps you figure out your next career move. We explore the trends in tech shaking up the job market, giving you the unfiltered advice you need, whether you're starting out, changing direction, or guiding someone else. Let's figure out what's next for you together. This is Career Blueprint. Today, we're going to talk about some of the biggest buzzwords in AI, and that is AI agents and agentic AI. The reason we're talking about this today is that we're starting to see AI agents showing up everywhere. Retail companies are at the front of this trend. A recent report by Fluent Commerce found that almost 70% of large retail companies are piloting or have already deployed an AI agent. But retail isn't the only industry interested in agentic AI. PwC reported a few months ago that almost 80% of companies they surveyed are adopting AI agents. Now, this doesn't mean AI agents are taking over your job tomorrow. When you read these reports closely and you talk to business executives, as I have, about AI agents, you quickly hear their concerns about cybersecurity and difficulty trusting AI results. You also hear their concerns about how are their existing employees going to adapt to new roles working with these agents. So AI agents aren't taking over jobs overnight, despite the media hype you may hear about them. But they are coming, which means this is a good time to learn what they are so you're ready when one of them shows up in your workplace. Let's get started. What is an AI agent? And how is it different from ChatGPT and other types of AI we've already experienced? An AI agent is designed to operate as a digital assistant or a work colleague. It can autonomously make decisions, take actions, and solve complex problems across technology platforms, all without human supervision. Let's put some context around those words by comparing AI agents to traditional chatbots and to generative AI chatbots like ChatGPT. We'll start with talking about traditional chatbots. You've probably been forced to use a traditional chatbot at some point, and my guess is that you're frustrated by the experience. And that's because traditional chatbots can only provide you answers to simple questions. Things like, when does a store open? Or what is a company's return policy? They can't do anything else because they're programmed to follow scripts. And when you need something that isn't in a chatbot script, it doesn't work, which is why you get frustrated. So when ChatGPT came into our lives in November 2022, we were all really excited because it felt different than any other chatbot we've used before. You could type your question into the text prompt and you'd get all sorts of information back. Instead of just getting information on when a store opens or a company's return policy, you could find out the best time of day to try to return your product to the store so that it's not busy. You might find alternative products you might want to buy instead. You could find out whether the product you're returning is discontinued or is damaged. Using ChatGPT felt like a different experience, even though it was still a chatbot. And that step up in functionality was due to what was then, at least, a new form of AI called generative AI, which we talked about in our first episode. Now, since 2022, several other generative AI chatbots have been launched, and you might now be using Gemini or Copilot or Perplexity or Claude or one of the many others that are out there. And they're all great. But we're also discovering that they have limits. Generative AI chatbots like ChatGPT are great at summarizing and explaining, but essentially they're an advanced Google search. They can't take action or make decisions. And that's where AI agents come in. You can give an AI agent a goal, not just ask it a question, and the AI agent will get it done. Let's talk about a concrete example so you can picture the difference. Imagine you need to buy a washing machine. You might use ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude to help you figure out which washing machine to buy. You would open up the app, type something in the text prompt like, I need to buy a washing machine. I want it to be able to wash large loads and be energy efficient. What should I get? A few seconds later, ChatGPT will give you a beautifully written answer explaining what to look for in a washing machine. It might suggest a few models with really strong online reviews. But that's it. That's where ChatGPT currently stops. It can't compare prices across retailers. It can't check local store inventory to see if there's one available in your neighborhood. It can't place your order for the washing machine, and it can't schedule delivery for you at a time that works for your calendar. An AI agent can do all of that. So, how do AI agents work? What's different about their underlying technology? Generative AI chatbots like ChatGPT and AI agents are both built on large language models at their core. So from a user perspective, your initial experience working with an AI agent will feel very much the same like working with ChatGPT. You'll just type in what you want done in a conversational tone in the text prompt. You don't need to use special language or even complete sentences. But what happens next is where they differ. While a generative AI chatbot like ChatGPT reads what you typed and then creates content for you, it creates a written answer for you. In contrast, the next step for an agentic AI system is to analyze the task you gave it. It will determine the steps needed to accomplish your goal and then gather relevant data from multiple sources to understand the context of what you want done. It then can determine the best way to accomplish your goal, and it will take action using whatever tools you have given it access to. And once it has a draft or a first version, it will review its own work and decide whether the results are good enough or whether it needs to just keep working. Now, all of that can sound abstract and maybe even a bit scary, but it's important to remember that humans are determining the boundaries or guardrails of what an AI agent has access to, and they do this through a design step called context engineering. Context engineering is the key difference between generative AI chatbots and AI agents. And this comes up because generative AI chatbots are limited in their functionality for a couple of basic reasons. One, generative AI chatbots frequently don't have all the context they need to follow your instructions. I mean, think about it. How many times have you typed in a half-completed thought into ChatGPT and just hoped it knew what you were talking about? Humans don't always provide the necessary context for a chatbot to do its work well. The second limitation of a generative AI chatbot is they have limited memory. So you might be chatting with one and it just forgets your conversation. It's really frustrating. You have to start all over. The third limitation of a generative AI chatbot is they can only provide you a response based on the data in which their underlying large language model were trained on. They don't know everything or have access to all the information in the world. So when you ask ChatGPT something and it doesn't know, it might say, I don't know. Or worse, it might just give you a wrong answer. And the fourth limitation of a generative AI chatbot is it doesn't have access to other software tools like your online calendar or your file folders or your pictures or a database at work. So context engineering helps close those gaps. The person who creates the AI agent decides what information, tools, and history the agent will have access to, and what the AI agent can do with that information in those tools. Now, most early AI agents that we're starting to see are somewhat simplistic and they can be buggy, but they're getting better fast. Let's talk about a couple of examples. One of the AI agents that's getting a lot of buzz right now is Anthropic's Claude Cowork. It was just released mid-January, and people are going nuts about it. Claude Cowork is basically a user-friendly version of Anthropic's Claude Code. Now, Claude Code is a software coding assistant. Not something most of us would use, right? How many of us are writing code for software? Claude Cowork has made simple coding so easy that non-technical users are able to create personal digital assistants who can perform many of the tasks you might give to a human assistant. For example, if you're willing to give Claude Cowork access to your calendar and email, it can prepare a daily briefing for you for all your meetings. If you upload your scattered notes from a recent business meeting into Claude Cowork and give Claude Cowork access to your emails so it can look for emails related to that meeting, it can create a draft summary presentation in PowerPoint for you with graphics. If you give Claude Cowork access to your file folders, it can reorganize them, delete duplicates, and rename all your folders using descriptive titles based on their content. The lists of tasks you can program Claude Cowork to do is long, and it just came out. I've been playing around with Claude Cowork over the last few days, and even as a non-technical user, I found that it was pretty easy to use, and the results are impressive. Not all AI agents are focused on computer file management like Claude Cowork. For most of us, our first experience with an AI agent will be when interacting with an online retail company. Lots of big retail companies like Sephora and Amazon and Home Depot, Target, Walmart, Booking.com are all using AI agents. But most of them at this point are a bit underwhelming. They're better than an old school chatbot that we've all learned to hate, but they're still not as good as a human. I recently tested out Amazon's Rufus AI agent and just wasn't all that impressed. I tried to use Rufus to help me buy some new running shoes. I typed in a little bit about myself and how I like to work out and put all that into Rufus's text prompt. Rufus did an okay job providing me recommendations on some shoes I could buy, and it told me which of the retailers on its site had my size. And Rufus was willing to help me buy the shoes. But the analysis it gave me was pretty thin. And let's be honest, I don't trust Amazon's pricing on anything. So right now, the user experience with AI agents is buggy, but that's going to change quickly. And as these agents move into our lives and beyond online customer service and into office jobs, they're going to impact jobs. So where can you expect to see AI agents showing up this year? We're definitely going to see them in retail. But other types of companies are reporting use cases in areas and lots of areas. Think about employee onboarding, invoice and inventory management. Insurance claims processing is ripe for AI agents. And there are lots of use cases out there for financial risk assessment and fraud detection. We're hearing about some radiologists and radiology companies using them in diagnostic healthcare. And contract management is also a great spot for AI agents. So think about any area in a company that involves digital routine tasks. And you're going to start to see your friends who are tech-curious people and who are a little less worried about privacy starting to build their own digital personal assistants and getting their office work done super fast. So what does this mean for jobs? We'll dive deeper into how AI agents are changing specific jobs in future episodes. But for now, know that AI agents are going to have a significant impact on many white-collar jobs over the next couple of years. It's going to feel similar to when ChatGPT was first introduced. When ChatGPT first came out in 2022, no one understood what it was. But in less than 6 months, over 100 million people were actively using it. Technology adoption can happen that quickly. So when you see an AI agent pop up at work or show up in your software you use every day, try to resist that urge to ignore it. Be curious about it. If this happens at work, volunteer to test the AI agent out. Learn how it was programmed and what its guardrails are. Learn what mistakes the AI agents can make. Remember, AI agents are here to stay, and people who learn to work with them and to manage them are going to be in high demand as organizations scale these systems. Thank you for joining me today, and watch out for our next episode of Career Blueprint, where we talk about how AI agents and other types of artificial intelligence are changing jobs today.